Welcome to Make a Difference with Phil Martelli. He is Phil Martelli. I am Jared Phillips. And through this entire campaign that we have reached with this podcast over the past year, to be exact, it has been 1 year for the show so far. We've just tried our best to really hold up to its namesake, make a difference, something you've tried to do throughout your career now after your coaching career. And as someone who has been a leader in the community for a long time, you find that so important. But I feel like we have also been able to highlight people who are really looking toward the future and those younger folks who are trying to make a difference, which is so vitally important. Am I right?
Really a big deal. It is about making a difference, and it's making a difference, each of us in our own individual way. And I find it so uplifting when we hear these stories and we meet these young people who are out there. And so this past Saturday, I had occasion to come across a young man by the name of Ray Schmidt. Ray Schmidt is an 8th grader at St. Pius in Broomall. Their school is undergoing a renovation, a rejuvenation. I'll let him talk a little bit more about it. But he's an inventor as an 8th grader, an inventor. And he has a dip clip that, rather than me talk about some of the topics in our cold open, you know what we're giving this time to? We're giving it to the youngest inventor that I've ever met, Ray Schmidt. Ray, welcome to Make a Difference.
Hi, thank you for having me on the podcast. So I am Ray Schmidt, and I go to St. Pius X Catholic School in Broomall, Pennsylvania. And I designed and 3D printed a dip clip to hold the Pretzel Factory's dips, and I sold it outside of the store this past Saturday. I came up with this idea when my dad and I would drive to my band practices that were farther away, and we'd always get pretzels. And I have my dip in one hand and my pretzel in the other. I was like, there has to be something to hold the dip. It's kind of inconvenient for me to hold the dip and the pretzel at the same time. So I designed and 3D printed a dip clip for me and my dad. And then I thought it worked so well, other people could want this and maybe it would help them. And I thought how my school is needing money to redo the bricks. And I decided I'd sell this outside of the Philly Pretzel Factory as a fundraiser for my school.
Watch this. Do you hear what he said? Every single penny he's giving to his school. Go ahead, Ray. Preach.
My school, a couple years ago, the bricks started falling off the building. And they had an inspector come out to inspect the building. And they realized all the bricks were attached to the building the wrong way. And they had to redo the whole school building. They had to redo every single brick. So they started this process 2 years ago. And the past 2 summers, they've been working on this to try to raise $3 million to redo the brick. So that's when I came up with the idea to sell the dip clip. And every single penny I got from this goes to St. Pius.
Like, what do I have to tell you?
Thought this would be great, and I thought it was amazing.
All right, Ray. We have a lot of people that watch this.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
A lot of people connect with us here. So how do they get their dip clip? Where are you going to be selling them? Somewhere in Delaware County? Can people reach out to St. Pius? How do people get in touch with the brilliant Ray Schmidt?
So if you want to donate directly to the Brick by Brick campaign, you can visit stpius.net/future. And if you would like to donate and receive a dip clip, you can email carventdipclip@gmail.com, and you will receive more information.
Amazing stuff. Ray, we'll get that info out there, help push that out there. I just think it's awesome that you're just thinking practically, right? You're like, I want to be able to sit in the car and be able to dip my pretzel. And then suddenly this turns into an effort to help your school. I mean, where does that inspiration come from to try and really rejuvenate your school off of you know, you just wanted to be able to dip your pretzels more easily?
Yeah, so when I designed it, I thought it worked so well that it might help other people and other people might really like it. And I thought that'd be a good thing to sell outside of the Pretzel Factory that help my school rebuild the bricks.
Well, Ray, you're making a difference, and that's what this podcast is all about. And you are a shining example of the goodness that comes from your wonderful mother, Katie, and your super special Notre Dame fan, your dad, Ray. Ray, thanks for joining us. Good luck in school the rest of this week. And we hope that we hope that you have to reprint
Thanks for
and
having me.
reprint and reprint dip clips. You're doing a great job. Make a difference.
Thanks, Ray. Really, really, I might have to get my hands on one. I mean, do they have something like that maybe for the Chickies and Pete's fries at the Eagles game or something like that? It sounds
sure.
like it's got a lot of practical uses, to be honest with you.
I hope that I hope he worked out his own NIL deal with the Pretzel Factory. He gave them quite a plug, and it was just great to see him outside that store. Can you imagine 13 years old standing outside a store, and as people were exchanging money, none of that was his. Special family, and his grandfather and grandmother have been long time friends of ours. And I got the message, and I had to stop over, and yeah, this is it's an inspiration. Make a difference, young people. That might even lead to a Martelli minute
You think so?
someday.
Someday,
Someday I might bring it there. But the Martelli minute, you can find that on Instagram.
every morning, 6:30 a.m.
Phil_Martelli.
That is correct.
And it's just something to get you going. Just like Ray has us going now. It takes repetitive efforts to unlock your potential. Do your job with passion, purpose, enthusiasm, and energy. This will separate you from the pack. Focus on what is important. Balance. A one-word Martelli minute. Balance. If we each get up every day and say, I'm going to stay balanced physically, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, it will allow us to do all of these other things to make a difference. You will be judged by what you do, not what you say. Take young Ray there as an example. If he just said, I'd like a better way to dip my pretzel. No, he didn't stop there. He went and did it. And that's a prime example. That young fellow will be judged by what he did and not just what he said. And then I thought it was important, because we are flipping the calendar, so to speak, after a year, that we remind everybody, please make a difference. You can, you will, and to be honest with you, you must. We must all make a difference, as you have done with this idea of the podcast. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Couldn't do it without you, pal.
We try our best.
The Martelli minute every morning, 6:30 a.m. on Instagram at Phil_Martelli.
And we're staying with statussolutions.com. Status Solutions, what do? They bring safety technology to our schools, to our large companies, and every community can get involved with keeping their school children safe and sound, as they should be, so that they can learn, that we can find that next Ray Schmidt out there.
That's right. Well, we're rolling right along today because Ray was a terrific start to this episode, but the featured guest is waiting in the wings here. So let's fire away with that intro.
Well, we're going to talk to the superintendent of the second largest public school system in New Jersey. When I first heard that, we sometimes get jaded because we're in the area and we think, oh, well, yeah, no. This is a really, really, really big deal. How about this honor? 2021 New Jersey visionary, an educational visionary, who was also the New Jersey State Principal of the Year. While in Philadelphia, National Turnaround Specialist. Can you imagine the changes that have occurred? And to be considered a turnaround specialist with these school districts. And he hasn't like tiptoed around like his path, New York City, Philadelphia, and now Cherry Hill. And I researched it over the weekend to find out a hoop star. Like, a lot of people say, oh, he was a star. No. Let me be real clear. Division II Player of the Year from Clarion University. Not Clarion's Player of the Year, not the PSAC's Player of the Year, national. This dude's serious hooper.
That's a hooper.
That's a hooper. Now, this is the coup de grace. A husband, a father, a grandfather. I'm going back to dad. Did I say dad? Yeah. How about 10 children?
Goodness gracious.
10 children. And did all this and a PhD. I cannot wait because this is going to make a difference as he's made a difference in New York, in Philadelphia, in Cherry Hill. Welcome, Dr. Morton, Superintendent of Schools in Cherry Hill. Doc, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for that outstanding introduction. I guess I owe you lunch, dinner, or something great, Coach. It's my honor to be here.
Well, you've already honored me by allowing me to speak to your wonderful staff and accepting our invitation. It is a big deal to us that we highlight all of these community heroes. Right. And I know you don't go by that moniker, but what you're doing for young people and what you're doing for Cherry Hill, for the state of New Jersey, thank you. You are a role model, and I hope that somewhere in this Cherry Hill school district, there's a student that says, you know what, one day I want to be Dr. Morton. That would be a badge of honor for you.
Thank you so much for that. Cherry Hill is an amazing place. We were honored that you were able to come off and really give us a great kickstart. Your message resonated with our faculty and really touched many people deeply. Coach, what I heard back from that was that many people said that this was the best kickoff that they had taken part in over 2 decades, for like 20 plus years. You were a big part of that. So thank you.
Thank you. So Doc, let's get your journey. How'd you end up in Cherry Hill? So start in that area. How did you end up in Cherry Hill?
Yes, sure. So you know what? This year I celebrated 30 years of marriage to my beautiful wife, April, the mom of our 10 children. No twins in there either, all separate births. But really, it was my wife who encouraged me to look and broaden my horizon, so to speak. As you mentioned, I am from New York City. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I worked in urban environments prior to that. I worked 10 years in New York City public education as a teacher and assistant principal, administrator. Then when our family moved in this direction as we were growing as a family, I think we had 6 children at the time. We were just looking for an opportunity to give our kids the type of school environment that she had experienced growing up in Western Pennsylvania. But nonetheless, when we were leaving, I said, I probably want to be in some place that's similar to New York, just out of the idea of being comfortable, right? So I went to the school district of Philadelphia. I was an assistant principal at Fitzsimons High School for about half a year, and then became a turnaround specialist principal at Frederick Douglass Elementary School. It was a pre-K to 8 building. Phenomenal experience for me. But as my wife talked about, like, you know what, she said, you need to broaden your horizons. You need to look beyond the ordinary, look beyond just what you're comfortable with, because there are kids on the other end who probably would be able to benefit from you. So she actually convinced me to apply here in Cherry Hill. I think it was like a December. I applied for an elementary principal position. Didn't hear back for months. And things were moving along in Philadelphia. Things were going great. Everything was fine. But probably in April of that year, they called me in for an interview, and I came in just to sort of feel it out rather. And it seemed like there was some synergy there, and it seemed like it was a fit. And as I researched it more, I could not come up with any good reason not to go across the bridge and move into the suburban school district. There was always this misnomer, what I believe now, that there's a big difference between urban children in urban environments as opposed to children in suburban environments. And what I've learned is truly there really aren't that many differences. Obviously, location and what one would experience is different, but in terms of needs that individuals have, a need for belonging, a need for relationship, a need for connection, it's wherever you are. So oddly enough, this is my 18th year in the district. So I've been here longer than I've been in urban environment. So it's truly phenomenal. I've had an opportunity to be an elementary principal, a high school principal for many years. I've been an assistant superintendent in this district, acting superintendent, and superintendent as well. So truly phenomenal. I love Cherry Hill. Cherry Hill is an amazing place.
So I'm going to take you back. You're hooping, you're doing all these things, you have all these accolades. There's a moment in time when you made a decision. Why education as a career path?
That is a great question. Great question. So I am blessed to have been the son of a 25-year educator in New York City. And I had an opportunity to watch my mother have a profound impact on children at PS 329 and later at PS 188 in the Coney Island section of Brooklyn, New York, where we're from. It was commonplace for us to be at the supermarket and for us to see her students and their families and them to run and give her hugs, and the kids to come visit our house over the weekends. And many of my friends were her children at school. It was just an interesting relationship. Growing up, some things you take for granted. I just assumed that that's just how it was for many people, that they had that level of interaction professionally to personal life. But as I got older, I realized that wasn't a thing. When I went to college initially, I wanted to become an educator. I wanted to become a teacher. And my initial major was elementary education. Somewhere along the lines, I got the idea that moving into business would be the way to go. Like, you can make money if you move into business. And I shifted my major at the start of my junior year to business administration instead. And in spite of the first 2 years of being an elementary education major, I had to make up a ton of credits. I had to go in the summers. I had to do a little bit extra, 18 credits a semester. I think the last 4 semesters or so. But ultimately, I graduated with a degree in business management. After getting out of college and starting to work in the business field, I realized that my initial thoughts were where my heart was, and that ultimately I wanted to be able to, as your banner says, I wanted to be able to make a difference in a way that was tangible, in a way that was synonymous to what I had seen from my mother as well. And I shifted, and I went back to school. I moved into a 3rd grade classroom at PS 288, and decided to become a teacher at that point. and was fully gung ho and all in.
So I had the occasion to be at the kickoff to the school, and I will give you your plaudits here and say you have an engaging personality. It starts with your eyes, and I watched you address the teachers there. How do you bring that every day in with the job that you have? And look, it's you're changing lives just by your presence. How do you bring that every day?
Coach, I think, I attribute that back to the athletics days. My experiences as a young kid coming up, learning the game of basketball and applying that to this idea of, you bring your best individually, but you bring it to the team itself to make the team as great as it can be. And part of that is a responsibility to those who you're beholden to and those who you're working with. And bringing your best every single day is what it's all about, and it's something that I think that I learned through sports. So 6 a.m. we'd have practice. I don't know if you know Ron Ryder. Ron Ryder was a George Raveling guy. I worked with him for a while. He I think he came to Clarendon University from University of Iowa, but nonetheless, Coach Ryder's philosophy is every single occasion that you have an opportunity to step into a gym, step on a track, to go and practice, to go lift weight, whatever it is, you bring your absolute best. And, that was an expectation that he had. It was actually an expectation that I had for myself as well. So I think, it starts there. You bring your best every single day because you're helping this team to get better by individually getting better and doing all you can within yourself. And, I'm blessed and I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to serve 11,000 children who represent families no different than mine. I have a responsibility to give them my absolute best on a daily basis. We have 1,800 faculty, and I don't look at it any different, right? To give our faculty their best because they in turn need to feed and to give, their best to our children. So it's an obligation, it's a responsibility, but something that was learned early on for me through my participation in sports.
So this isn't the next question, but I'll just make a statement to you and get your reaction and check his face on this reaction. If I was to describe Ron Ryder, I would say cerebral, and I'll leave it at that.
Absolutely. Dr. Ron Ryder. Absolutely. Very, very cerebral. He was the first person to really talk about body language with us.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I didn't understand it at the time, right? So I didn't love practice at 6 a.m. I'll be honest. Not as a 17-year-old freshman. I didn't love that. And he would always talk about our body language and how our body language impacts and reflects thinking. And, very, very cerebral man. I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to play for him.
You alluded to this a little bit. If you could expand and expound on this idea. You're the head coach of Cherry Hill.
Absolutely.
You're the head coach of those 11,000 students, those X number of families, the 1,800 staff. What's your style? I'm coming into the district and I want to be part of the district because you're the head coach. Tell me, what's your style?
Yeah, that's a heck of a question. That's a great question. So I approach things from a collaborative team philosophy, right? So I think that the idea of building the team is essential, and I think that irrespective of personal feelings or personal relationships, like we don't always get to choose our teammates, but we choose how we approach to collaborating and working with our teammates. So I expect everyone to bring their absolute best effort each and every day. I expect individuals to understand their role and responsibility. Sometimes, your role is to be the down and dirty guy. You rebound for us. You give us a presence inside and change shots. Other guys are facilitators. Some other people put the ball in the hoop. Like there's different roles and responsibilities, but each one of those roles is essential. Each one of the roles are important. Each one of those roles are necessary in helping the team to succeed. You mentioned someone who, you mentioned Jameer Nelson. He had said that this guy in practice had made an impression, and in spite of not really knowing him personally that well, needed him around for the morale and for the betterment of the team. And listen, I approach it that same way and look at each individual role and how everyone adds value. And once we have this like understanding of what we bring to the table, our roles and responsibilities, I'm either the nicest guy to you on earth or a jerk, right? Because I need to make sure that I hold everybody responsible to those roles and responsibilities. Fortunately, we have great people who are here in Cherry Hill, and they love the kids here, and they bring it every single day. They bring it.
Big picture. I'm going to just jump in. Not everyone can star, but everyone can be a star teammate. That sounds like the philosophy that you're presenting there. Be a great teammate.
Correct. Correct. Think about it. So you think about, we have probably 3/4 or so of our kids are transported via school buses every day.
Yes.
If the school bus driver does not perform his or her role effectively, we don't get kids to school efficiently and on time. Our teachers can't do their part to help to educate our kids. Like we have educational assistants, for instance, who interact and support our kids on a daily basis. Their names aren't on the classroom or under the teacher line schedule, but they are important in terms of providing support for our kids. They support our kids during recess and things along those lines. Our custodial staff, they may be the most important, right? They prepare our buildings on a daily basis to ensure that our kids have a safe environment, clean environment, and one that's conducive to learning. So, just a couple examples. Everybody plays a part in this thing.
Amen.
And, it's important to let everybody understand that.
Big picture now, today's educational environment, where are we? How can we help make a difference to public, not just the parents but where are we in today's educational environment?
Yeah, so that is another great question. Great question. I think we're in a good place. I do believe that we are in a good place in education. There is massive discourse, just I guess nationally, around what's best for children. There are different opinions in terms of how best to educate our kids. But I think it's a positive thing that individuals are so passionate and so about our children and the success of our children. So that's the first place. I think apathy is terrible, right? So if people are apathetic and could care less, I don't think that benefits our children very well. So it's good that we are passionate. It's good that we are desirous of seeing positive change. Now, how we go about handling the discourse, how we go about facilitating conversations, how we go about arriving at solutions in terms of what's best for our kids are things that we can control. And there need to be civil conversations and civil discourse. But I look at it as a positive that people are engaged. Here within our town, we just adopted a new strategic plan, a 5-year strategic plan, and something called a portrait of a graduate, which frames the characteristics, attributes, skills that we want our children to learn as they progress throughout Cherry Hill Public Schools from grades pre-K all the way to 12. And these attributes are those that will be important for them to move forward as successful adults as well. But that was a community-wide effort. I took an approach where we engaged thousands of people throughout this community and asked them the very question about, what it is that they envision for our schools. What is it that they envision for our children? Media accounts would have you believe that would become very contentious in terms of conversations about people grappling and wanting this way or that way. It wasn't at all. You have human beings who are desirous of the children ultimately being safe, secure, successful as they move forward in life. We did 25 community conversations last year. survey that went out to thousands of people. It was wonderful to interact with the community and just, go back and forth and to talk about the future of our schools. But the future of our schools are really no different than the future of education and schooling as we move forward. So I think we just need to talk, right? We need to talk and have discussions and make decisions ultimately about how best to impact our kids in terms of moving forward.
And now I want to flip that. I want to that same concept, the community engagement component. One of the things that I've enjoyed watching and marveled at are the schools' commitments now to their communities. And they might label it as community service. They might label it as a club or an activity. But so many schools, Cherry Hill being no different, you're going back and you're reaching back to your community. Could you just brag about what the Cherry Hill students are doing for the community? Not so much what the community did for you, but what are they doing for your community to make it one unit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can tell you just something beautiful that was done last year to speak. Cherry Hill is a large community, as you mentioned. We aren't the largest in New Jersey. We're the largest in South Jersey. We're actually the 11th largest in the state, across this entire state, but the largest definitely in South Jersey. But we are a big community. There's an east side, there's a west side. You have a high school west, which you spoke at, and then there's a high school east as well. And typically, there's a competitive rivalry that exists, so to speak, amongst the schools. We've taken efforts to do some things that are more unifying across town. So rather than us coming together just for competition, I've been seeking ways to pull the communities together in terms of serving the larger Cherry Hill community. So I have a superintendent student advisory council comprised of students from both high schools, high school east and high school west. The students were tasked with identifying a community-wide effort that they could do that would make impact on the community. One of the groups chose a community service-oriented event. And what they wanted to do was to do a community day. It started with last year, they did it. All the planning, all the different aspects were done by these kids, and it was supported by our staff as well. They did a great event. It had a 5K event in the morning. That 5K, all the contributions went back to less fortunate students, right? They're less fortunate peers who needed support for prom tickets, senior trip, things along those lines. And then there was like a community fair. It was called the Fair Because We Care. Kids came up with that as well. And it was wonderful to see these kids recruit other kids from the high school, to see both high schools come together as a combined, unified team, and to do something for the community. It was a very wet and rainy day, but we had great turnout for the 5K, and it was a great turnout as well for the fair. The kids are looking to continue to build on things such as that, but that's just representative of who our kids are. Our kids are at the senior homes. Our kids do a number of different fundraisers and things along those lines to benefit members of our community, but certainly to benefit those who are less fortunate as well.
I marvel. 2 questions, Doc. This one may be easy. Are you still hooping?
Coach, I can still shoot the ball, man. I can still shoot it, but my knees don't hold up for defense. I didn't play that much defense in the past, but
don't let that get in the way. It's all about scoring the ball.
Right, absolutely.
And then the final one, we ask all of our guests this question: who's made a difference in your life?
So many people have made a difference in my life. It depends if you ask me when, what point of life. I've had so many people who have been so impactful for me. I was really fortunate as a kid to have outstanding parents. I mentioned my mother, Sandra, my father, Anthony. My father was a manager for New York City Housing Authority, and I watched them interact with poise and with grace and dignity with scores of people, and I learned professionalism from watching my dad. My older brother was a hooper and was a player. I only played really because my brother, my older brother played. I have a cousin. You probably know my cousin, Tiny Morton.
Yeah, I know.
Tiny Morton. Great.
If you're in basketball, you know Tiny Morton.
Absolutely. One of my closer friends and family members as well. Tiny's a little older than I am, but was impacted me in many respects. We actually taught at the same school at PS 288. We spent lots of time together. I mentioned my coach, Coach Al Madrajeski, a gentleman who recruited me to Clarion University. Tremendous. I've had tremendous role models in education as well. I'm fortunate, I'm really fortunate, and I try to stay in a place of gratitude as well, to just be around people who are a lot smarter than I am, and just try to learn from them. I'm grateful for you, Coach. I'm grateful to have an opportunity to interact with you.
Thank you. Well, we're fortunate, and we thank you for taking this time. I know you got a lot going on, and for you to give us this 30 minutes was a real pleasure. Dr. Morton, we're with you. If there's anything that I could ever do for Cherry Hill, count me in because of you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And again, thank you for, for coming and positively impacting our community. And thank you for having me on today. And continue doing what you're doing. You absolutely are making a difference.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Morton. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care.
That was terrific. And the one thing the biggest takeaway for me is just hearing about the current educational climate.
Yes.
And the way parents, the way students, the way children are kind of navigating that. And he's just like, can we just talk it out? Like we have the same end goal here. Can we just find a way to meet in the middle? I think
that would matter throughout this whole country, wouldn't it? And what I really appreciated was collaborative and the sense of ownership. He owns it, but he's also passing it, right? The student-driven activity, ownership. And when you get involved in ownership, you got to take the good with the bad. And that was really cool. But I can tell you, when I popped open to start scripting this, and I said, wait a second, player of the year? We didn't even get into how do you go from New York to Clarion, right? Like, that's quite a shift in your lifestyle.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's a big culture shock, if you will. Yeah,
there's no question. So we might have to put those on the list of where can I go. Maybe I should follow his path one day and
quite possibly
figure that out. But for now, where have I been?
Where have you been?
Well, I was able to get to Mass at Camilla Hall for our family saint, Sister Marita Jean, Aunt Patsy. And it was quite a treat to be in the chapel there with the nuns and who have served so much, and the reverence and the calm. It was well worth that. And then there's a legendary pizza place in Upper Darby called Pika's. Pika's announced about 15 months ago that they were closing within a month. They're still open and they're still thriving. And the legendary Don DeJulia brought people together who had worked together. He does it maybe once a quarter. And I was able to stop in there and hear some stories and share some stories. And he's irreplaceable. Don DeJulia is irreplaceable. And every time I see him, I feel like I've been lifted up. Had a chance to head up to, I guess that would be Bucks County, and Al Pedicino, who had a son who was in Philip's class at the prep, had a daughter and a son who worked for us at St. Joseph's with Claire Ariano. They were student workers with her. I was able to attend Al's funeral, packed. Lots of conversation, lots of reminders of all that's good, and what a great life and a great family. Al will be missed. I was able to go to Mass again at St. Mary Magdalene for the student council installation. Elizabeth's daughter, Madeline Jeffries, in the 6th grade, is the student council representative, along with a Philadelphia hockey name, Anna Selesky. Her grandfather, Don Selesky, was on the Stanley Cup champions in Philadelphia. And Anna and Madeline will be representing their school. Saturday, I stopped at the Billy Lake Marathon. 33 years of basketball. All funds donated to ALS. For a long stretch of time, this is a Delaware County tradition. For a long stretch of time, they played 24 hours straight. But they would pick up, a team would represent a neighborhood, Briarcliff. Somebody else would represent Stonehurst. And so all of these older guys and ladies were playing 24 hours. And Dan Quinn and Patty Lake Quinn said, hey, we're thinking about doing away with it. It's getting too hard to find teams to play 24 hours. So years ago, we offered to get our teams from our team camp to play on a weekend before this explosion of basketball events. Well, they kept it going, and they did this unbelievable work. The Lakes and the Quins are everywhere during this event. And I was able to stop over and see Monsignor Bonner played against Chestnut Hill Academy. There had been 2 girls' games prior to that. A Catholic League championship team played a state championship team. They were going all day long. They had teams from Central Bucks, and they had Haverford High School and Pencrest High School and Father Judge, and they had a feature game, Coatesville against Father Judge. They really did it up, and they're going to turn over about $65K to ALS. And in checking with them, I wanted to make sure that they had year 34 already on the books, and they do have that. That was a great stop, and then a stop at Bob Palestini's viewing. Bob was a teacher, educator, PhD at St. Joseph's, and he also coached at Cardinal O'Hara. Wonderful man, and had a chance to visit with his family that day. So I was grateful for that. And then Saturday night, not so much joy, but I stayed home rather than my offer for standing room only tickets. I thought I'd be better served staying home, and some of my reactions, I was better off staying home, because I may not have stayed in the ballpark during some of that. But where's next? Like, you have to go next.
You think they would have kicked you out? Like, you would have said something that they would have?
No, because I'm not.
You're crazy, but you're not that crazy.
No, I'm much better in this setting. But I did reflect Sunday morning when I went, or later Sunday. I thought, St. Joe Prep lost in football to LaSalle. I believe it's the first time they've had 4 losses in a season in forever, and certainly 4 losses by October the 4th is unheard of. But you had that, the Phillies, and the Eagles. It was, and if you're a Penn State, as your grandfather was, monster Penn State guy,
pretty devastating weekend.
It was not It was not an emotional roller coaster. It was a downward spiral here.
Yeah,
spiral.
it was ugly all around.
But now it's back. New week, new podcast, new energy from Dr. Morton and from young Ray. Think about that. Ray and Dr. Morton. What are they doing? They're making a difference. How are they doing it? Through their schools. Pretty cool. Pretty cool synergy right there. But this week, Phil's for sure in the house for game 2.
You'll be there, huh?
And how about this research? The section that I'm sitting in, 18.5% chance of getting a foul ball.
How did you get that information?
It's just things I work on, right? Rather than sleep, I work on things.
Where's the database that you get that info?
Look, that machine is magic. Yep.
Fair enough.
It's this thing. It's called internet, and they have I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying it's out there. Okay. And I'm taking it as true. So I'm taking a glove, but I will be looking to give the ball to a young person.
I hope so.
Yeah. For sure.
I'm just thinking you'd never do it, but I'm thinking of the Larry David moment of a grown Phil Martelli wrestling the ball from a teenager.
That's not going to happen.
I know.
That's not going to happen. And then I will have a call with Immaculata. Immaculata has an assistant coach by the name of Dave Parker. Dave is a guy that played in the playgrounds at Lansdowne Alden when I was a kid. He played at Monsignor Bonner, Mount St. Mary's. They've invited me to speak to the men's and women's teams, so I always do a pre-talk, pre-prep before I go out and speak to the team. And the bonus here is that a Mighty Mac will be joining me in my talk, so I don't know how many sentences she will utter, but Judy will be with me for that talk. And then CVC, Michael Steinberg. Michael is now the chair of the CVC in Philadelphia committee. We will be having lunch with him. Rand Dunphy and I will be having lunch with him to go over the moving forward and getting juice into the program and how to reach out to the 6 coaching staffs to make sure to also reach out to the small colleges. We want them to join on. Then the academy at Archbishop Wood. And again, the Philadelphia Coaching Academy, grade school, middle school, rec teams, travel teams, in-house teams, boys, girls, 8th grade and under, their coaches, a 3-hour seminar where we will show you drills. We'll demonstrate those drills. We'll have a high school team go through those drills because you are a community hero. If you're coaching young people, you're giving your time, you've gone through background checks, you are a community hero. You're giving more than you take. And what I would like to do is present to you an idea of how do I run a 1-hour practice? And we have a checklist. How many basketballs do you have? How many hoops do you have? What if you show up at the gym and this has happened to you when you were a kid, show at the gym and the gym's locked or the lights are out? Who do you call? Well, if you don't, you need to pre-plan that. You need to have that set up. How are you going to communicate with parents? Is the practice time standardized? So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to do drills in all of these areas. You name an area, basketball, we're going to show you 2 or 3 drills. We're going to have 2 high school coaches present with me. And then we're going to have all of them help to do the drills with the high school team that will be there. So this Saturday, Archbishop Wood, how do people get information? There's a beautiful flyer and a lot of ways to sign up, and we got Venmo. We got all kinds of things. Where do they find information to sign up?
Well, you can find it on our social media, not only the Make a Difference podcast social media on Instagram, Twitter, or X, if you will, Facebook, but also on your socials as well, at Phil Martelli on X, at Phil_Martelli on Instagram. All that information has been posted there. It's where you can find a link to sign up There's a Google form that you could fill out that will allow you to sign up for one of the dates coming up. And also, if you head on over to pnjmakeadifference.com, there's also more information on the website as well. So it's really, I mean, you've been thumping the table for this. It's a terrific opportunity, and I think it's only going to continue to grow. I hope, because once these coaches realize what kind of a resource this can be, and the connections that can be made, and just the leadership and the lessons and the game plan that you can have to really execute for your programs is going to be massive.
Practice, and it won't be stories. It's not X's and O's. I've gotten some questions. Can Jersey? Yes, absolutely. We're trying to go down into Delaware, but Archbishop Wood this Saturday, October the 11th, that will be our Montgomery County endeavor. October 19th, 11 to 2 at Wood. It'll start at 9. You're out of there at 12 o'clock. Registration will start at 8:15. Sunday, October 19th at Monsignor Bonner, 11 to 2. I get it. The Birds are away at Minnesota. We'll have a TV in the lobby. We'll give you updates, but this is for you. This is for you to get knowledge. That's Sunday, October 19th, Monsignor Bonner, Archbishop Prendergast High School. October 25th, Saturday, School of the Futures in Fairmount Park. That's our endeavor for the Center City and the South Philadelphia, and hopefully some Jersey folks will join us. And then we go November 2nd, which is a Sunday, Archbishop Ryan, bye week. Important, right? To know, bye week, 11 to 2. And again, on-site registration starts 45 minutes before. We have group discounts. For one coach, it's $50. For a group of 6 to 10, it's $40. And if you have more, if you're a local organization, I'm picking Media Boys Club, and you send all of your coaches, 11 and above, $30 for 3 hours worth of information and guidance. We're excited about it. We're getting a number of reachbacks from community groups that are going to sponsor coaches, how they're going to get information to people. The biggest thing for me over these next 4 weeks is that I don't want there to be any youth coach that says, I didn't know about that. There is information everywhere. We're now going to go hopefully on a TV blitz. I know they have a lot going on, the TVs, but maybe they could slip us in for a segment where, again, the Philadelphia Coaching Academy. If you can't find us on social media, you're not looking. I'll put it that way. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that completely.
Now, once the academy ends, once that academy ends, I'm going to be headed down to Widener University, because the class above me, the class of 1975, with Jim Harganon, who was a teammate, Pat Knapp was a teammate, they're hosting their 50th reunion. Now, I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's a collegiate thing, but they're hosting it with a beer garden prior to the football game and then a cocktail party after the football game. I will be making a entrance and exit probably at the cocktail period to say hello, because a number of that class, I was around them a lot because of playing basketball, and probably to get ideas for next year when that'll be 50 years out of college for me. If I'm invited, I would like to be invited to that. Now,
I think you'll catch the invite.
Friday night, I will be celebrating with Garrett Grubb and his fiancée, Hannah, at their wedding on Friday night. This is an undertaking almost militaristic. So there's a service, and Hannah was a star athlete in Delaware County, right? Superstar, in fact. Service 4:30 on a Friday. 4:30 on a Friday. Followed by a reception. which ends at 10 o'clock on Friday. But they've bought out a bar in Wayne from 10 to 2. Then they're getting up Saturday and they have some kind of house, Airbnb, where they will be hosting everybody that went to the wedding for a football Saturday. So Garrett, the G-Force, he was the leading guy at Penn State in the interfraternity council. He was like senior Goomba or whatever they call that guy. He ran everything up there, right? He ran everything up there. And I salute Garrett and Hannah because I thought after this weekend with a Penn State loss, a Phil's loss, and the Eagles loss, I thought we would get a notice early in the week that maybe they had eloped and they didn't really want to be around a lot of people. But they stayed true. And think about the planning that went into this. They picked Friday night. Why? No playoff game was possible. And Saturday, game 5 will be at 8 o'clock. There's a lot that went into this. So congratulations to terrific young people. And other than that, I'm just going to enjoy the retired life as I've been doing.
I do have to give, I wonder if he remembers this. I said I have to give Garrett a quick shout out way back in the day. I can't even remember the year, but he and I won the 2-on-2 title at Phil Martelli basketball camp way back in the day. And I'm sure you begrudgingly had to hand us the,
never. I was
like, of course, these two team up.
I was a monster of I loved camp. I absolutely loved camp, and I loved the interactions, and I loved coming up with the games and the nicknames. And I got a message the other day from somebody on Instagram and said, "You don't know me by my real name." And I said, "No, you're right." But as soon as he said his nickname in the whatever post, I was like, "Oh yeah, that means I liked you. If you got a nickname, that means I liked you."
I'll tell you what, if you're looking to help Phil Martelli make a difference, head on over to pnjmakeadifference.com. You can find more information about the Philadelphia Coaching Academy there. You also get in touch with Phil to tell him your story on how you can help make a difference in the classroom, in the workplace, on the court, or off the court. We are at Make a Difference Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We are at Make a Diff Pod on X. Make a Difference with Phil Martelli on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, feel free to go ahead and give us a 5-star rating. If you were looking for that Martelli Minute, it is at Phil_Martelli on Instagram every morning at 6:30 a.m. Our thanks again to Ray Schmidt, a rare opening interview for the show.
Right.
That's a first. And why not shake things up a little bit? 1 year into the podcast, officially a year down with the show, and I think it's fun to kind of, change up the format every now and again.
We just got to get everybody's attention.
Yeah, keep you on your toes. But of course, our thanks to Dr. Kwame Morton, just an unbelievable guest who's doing truly remarkable things in the Cherry Hill School District. So our thanks to them again. And I think there's probably only 2 things left to say.
No. We have to go back a couple weeks. Casey Keeler, what did he say? And now, if you look at it, the best Division I football record in the state of Pennsylvania goes to
Temple.
Your Temple Owls.
Yeah, Temple Owls. That's right. Hold on. Let's pump the brakes. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, but
all right.
I didn't love what I saw. Few rows up from the field at that Oklahoma game, but I'll tell you what, just that's a college football playoff team. So we'll just have to, hold our breath on that one. But they're chugging along ahead of schedule, I'd say.
You have a short week.
Short
right?
week.
Short week. But how are you going to manage Thursday? How will the Philadelphia fan base manage Thursday?
That's a good question. I mean, just
late start in LA, but what time do the Birds start at the Giants?
8:20-ish.
Oh,
over by 11.
Not good.
11:20, 11:30.
Okay, I'm going to need updates because I will be not focused on the Birds.
they got to bounce back and take care of business. So we'll
They
see.
gotta have to open up a little bit, right?
Well, they opened up that passing game, and then
38 times, and Saquon gets
the run schemes are just not where they need to be, and not where they have been in the past. And that offensive line is still elite, but they're I think they're all just kind of I mean there's torn meniscuses and tweaked backs and stingers and all the kind of I think they're playing through a lot right now. I've always said though they don't play in the preseason, so you kind of have to just scrap the first 3 weeks.
Oh, good point.
The fact that they
Good
started
point.
4-0 was awesome because it was a gauntlet of a schedule. I was fully anticipating they were going to drop at least one of those games, and it stinks that it's at home to the Broncos, but they'll be okay. They'll be okay.
All right, so we'll say it again. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Phils, please.
Go Phils.